Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another live episode of Let's Talk on your favorite channel, Huda TV. I'm Arkham Rashid, your host. In this episode, we want to speak about why doing good feels good. And what we want to talk about is that what's the relationship between the feeling you get when you do these good deeds or good activities, and what's more important, doing good or feeling good? So let's start off as usual by introducing and welcoming our guest for today. On my right hand side, brother, if you can give us your name, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself. Go ahead, inshallah.
Yes, my name is Yusuf Kroma. I'm a Philadelphia native, recent expat to Cairo, Egypt, currently studying Arabic and Quran, and an aspiring student of knowledge, hoping to attend Al-Azhar University in the coming year, inshallah ta'ala.
Inshallah, and may Allah make that easy for you, Yusuf, and I want to once again welcome you to the show.
I mean, the pleasure is always mine.
Brother next to him, if you can give us your name, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself. Go ahead, inshallah.
My name is Idris. I'm from Maryland. I'm here in Cairo studying Arabic, memorizing Quran, and teaching English, and just trying to benefit as much as I can as possible.
And I hope you get those benefits, and may Allah make that easy for you as well, Idris. And it's lovely having you on. You join us almost every week, and we have these wonderful conversations. So I'm looking forward to this one as well.
It's always a pleasure to come on.
If I can come over to this side, brother, if you can give us your name, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Omar Khalid. I'm 30 years old. I'm Egyptian. I work in writing TV scripts and some of the short films and so on. And I always feel pleased to be here.
And it's always a pleasure having you on, Omar.
Thank you so much.
Brother, next time, if you can give us your name, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Sharif Hamdi. I'm from Cairo. I work as a teacher of English language, and I also work on studying English translation from English to Arabic and vice versa at the University of Cairo, Cairo University.
Okay. All right, Sharif, it's wonderful having you on. I believe you were on with us a while back.
Yeah, about a year ago. It was the last time I was here. So
yeah, we hope to see more of you, inshallah.
thank you. It's my pleasure to be here again.
And it's a pleasure to have you on once again as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Guys, let's start off with something very simple, your opinions. What does doing good mean to each and every one of you? I mean, it means something different to every person. So what does it mean to you guys? Yusuf, let's start with you.
I believe to do good means to do that which is morally correct, that which is virtuous and upright. And as Jesus said in the Bible, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So it's a basic human virtue, a basic human condition, which is that Allah Ta'ala created us on fitrah, which is that there's a natural inclination when you interact with human beings. You know, I'm not going to do this to an individual because I wouldn't want them to do it to me. So naturally, without a law or any sort of rules or regulations, we know that doing good is by how we feel, in association to our own feelings and emotions. So doing good is that which is morally just, morally correct.
And I mean, that also reminds me of one of the hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ, where he says that none of you will be true believers until you love for your brothers and sisters what you love for yourself.
Exactly.
And those two are, the quote you said from the Bible and the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ are very similar, and they mean the same exact thing. Idris, I want to come to you. What's your thoughts on this? What does doing good mean to you?
For me, I'm going to keep it simple because I'm just going to tell you from what I feel is that doing good is, for me, first and foremost, something that I know that is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because often, sometimes, I may do something and I may not feel good about it, but I know it's pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So often, for me, basically doing good is something that I know that's favored and will look good in the eyesight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Okay, that's very interesting, and I want to continue our conversation on that point, that very point, where what if something that feels good to you doesn't make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happy? And I want to come back to you guys on that, inshallah. But for now, let's go to Umar. Umar, what's your thoughts on this? What does doing good mean to you?
I just reminded me of something here related to one of the hadith of the Prophet, may peace and blessings be upon him. It's the meaning of it, that if you see the day of judgment is happening now, and there is a seed in your hand, go and plant it. So for me, this is a definition of goodness, that even if the result is not going to be seen or going to be cultivated by anyone, you do it anyways. The goodness is not in the results per se.
Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting, and that's a very good way of looking at it as well. That it's not the end result. It's just the fact that you did something good. Very good, Omar. Sharif, I want to come to you. What does doing good mean to you?
Yeah, doing good means to me, it takes me away, very far away from the circle of selfishness. Because if you do good to yourself, only yourself, all the time, you may feel good, but at the same time you may feel you're selfish. But when you do good things to others, you feel like it's a seed that you implant in the ground, and with time you will see it growing more and more. And also because doing good makes Allah makes you beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also be beloved to other people. So doing good is a very good thing to me.
Yeah. Okay, and I mean, basing it off of that, what I want to know is, why would somebody want to do good? So say, for example, if you have an option to live your life, what's the reason behind, or what's the motivation behind a person doing something good, a person doing something that benefits somebody else? I mean, I have a choice to do it or not to do it. Why should I get up every morning early and do something that would benefit somebody else? What are some motivations behind this? Yusuf, let's start with you.
Yeah, sure. There's a quote that says, you can do nothing about the length and the width of your life, but you can do everything about its depth. So, we don't have any choice about how long we're going to live, about the resources that we have in life, about the family that we have, the friends, we can choose your friends. But you can do something about the depth. So how you choose your life, the manner in which you choose to live, you can do everything about that, and that will be the determining factor of the value you had on earth. So some people complain, they look at society and they complain about how it looks, about their lives is not a pleasing life, right? Things around them is an eyesore. Well, like the brother said, I choose to live my life as a planter, as a farmer, cultivating people. So I grow from the seeds that I plant in others. So as opposed to saying people are ugly or they have ugly attributes, I try to plant positive seeds inside of them, and I grow, and I carry a garden with me everywhere I go. So by doing good, it's not just that I get a benefit of feeling good, but it's also this goodness around me. So everywhere I go, I carry good energy, I carry good vibes, and I have a good feeling about myself, and also people around me feel good. So it's just a party of goodness all around me everywhere I go. So that's just, the nature of goodness, is that it multiplies constantly.
And it creates that vibe that you enjoy living in it as well.
Absolutely.
Idris, I'm going to come to you. Same thing. What's your thoughts on this?
What's the question?
What's the motivation behind a person doing good? I mean, why would I get up and do something good?
I would say that it reminds me of a hadith that I remember reading about. The Rasulullah said that if your good deeds make you happy, and your bad deeds make you upset, then you're a believer. So for me, motivation for me is to try to align my good deeds and my feelings with pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This hadith has a mountain worth of explanation. I advise anyone to really get into it, because we could never cover it all. But basically, if you think about even another hadith of Rasulullah where he talked about like the good friend, it's like the perfume, and the bad friend is like the bad smoke from the iron shop. So all of these things are, why is the good friend that way? Because he's a good friend. He helps with good deeds. Yeah. Good deeds are contagious, like the brother said. It's something that also scientifically, good deeds make you less stressful. Scientifically, scientists are proving nowadays, I'm sure he's going to talk about it, is that the number one reason people do good things is that it decreases your stress in life. Even if you don't know why, it will decrease your stress in life. Then the second reason is that people who do tremendous good deeds tend to happen to live longer. All of these things are connected. There's so many benefits of doing good deeds that we could probably never cover all of it in here.
Yeah, of course.
For me, the motivation are these things. I mean, pleasing Allah, having a better life, healthier life, less stress. You can go down the list of so many different things.
Yeah, of course. Let's come over to Omar, the science guy, and see what he has in store for us.
I'm listening. No, I just, Brother Idris reminded me of something related to the West and the materialism and so on.
Sure.
I know it's related to what we're saying, so I'm not going to digress.
No, don't worry.
No problem. So, you know, in the West, the materialism and the democracy and all of these things, they depend on competition, but the scarcity of resources and so on. So, even the sciences, even anthropology and so on, they prove in the West that human beings are inherently competitive. We must compete with each other, but that's not true. There are, some scientists in the West, they are fighting this. And they're trying in this 21st century to prove this. Well, it's in Islam to prove that we are innately, we don't want to compete. We are only want to compete with each other when the environment forces us to do so. And there's a book written by one of the scientists, it's called No Contest, The Case Against Competition. And he's saying that we, in general, we want to cooperate, want to be in harmony, and it's the same thing that Brother Idris is saying, that it's going to make you feel good to cooperate and help others, and to and that's why maybe in the West depression is very high, because they're doing something against their nature. They're competing in the way. Of course, competition is not bad when we try to better your lives and so on. But if it is like it's our nature to compete, that's going to stress us out.
Okay. That's very interesting. Before I continue this conversation, I want to remind you guys that this is a live episode. We'll have the phone number to this show on the screen, so you can call us with the number below, or you can contact us directly on our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/letstalkofficial, and we will answer your questions live on air, inshallah. So go ahead, either drop us a message on Facebook or call the number on the screen. So, Sharif, coming back to this. What would you say are some motivations that a person would have, or that you would have, to do something good?
Yeah, the best motivation to me is when I imagine myself in the same position of the person who has a hardship in his life, and this is a very strong motive for that. And in this regard, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, من فرج عن مؤمن كربة من كرب الدنيا فرج الله عنه كربة من كرب يوم القيامة. Whoever push away a kind of hardship away from a Muslim in this world, surely Allah will do the same with him in the hereafter. And surely every one of us needs that in the day of judgment, because it's a very hard day. And I can say that something happened to me about 2 years ago. It's an incident that happened to me, and from then I decided to be better with people and try to do my best and to offer help to others. I had a surgery in my left knees. I had a cruciate ligament, a cut in the cruciate ligament, and right after the surgery, I felt that I'm very weak. I have no one to help me, but thanks to Allah, some of my friends, they helped me a lot. They took me to hospital, and they did things to me, good things to me. And from then I knew that doing good is very beneficial thing, not for only the individuals, but for the whole society. Yeah.
Okay. And the hadith that you mentioned, the Prophet ﷺ said to do good to others, and whoever removes something that's harmful to another person, which makes doing good itself an act of sunnah, an act from the Prophet ﷺ's life. And what I want to ask you guys next is that, do you have any story or any what you can say is any incident that took place at the Prophet ﷺ's time that personally affected you, and that you feel is a reason why you should do good, and or an example from the Prophet ﷺ's life that you saw him doing something good to others, to individuals in his society, that makes you want to do good, that makes you want to follow that example. Yusuf, if I can start with you, inshallah.
SubhanAllah, the Prophet's whole life was an example of this goodness. He was a rahmatul lil alameen, a mercy to the entire universe, to all the creatures in the heavens and the earth. So his entire legacy was that of goodness. So I can't even, I don't even know where to start by picking an example. But I think about the his neighbor who used to put trash in front of his door. So now, living here, and something I'm very sensitive about you know, people putting trash in front of my door, you know, just obstacles being in my way. I never really thought too much of the hadith. You know, if somebody puts trash in your door, okay, fine, you know, it's not that big of a deal. But now, you know, living in such confined quarters, I understand the sensitivity of having trash put in front of your door, living in this type of environment with the heat.
Sure.
So if you have trash in front of your door, especially if it's food, when the heat touches that food, it creates an awful smell, which creates flies and maggots, and the flies in Egypt are really disrespectful. Right? They just fly on your face and they fly right back.
You don't
right?
shoot. Right?
So I was just thinking about all these things now, all these difficult things that just create from somebody putting trash, deliberately putting trash in front of your doorstep every single day. I couldn't imagine somebody doing that to me. I would lose it, right? So the one day this woman doesn't put trash in front of his doorsteps, what does he do? He goes and visits her and asks her, are you okay? Is everything okay? I noticed that there wasn't any trash. SubhanAllah, what sort of person is this? If there was a day you didn't put trash in front of my door, I would like thank Allah, we would throw a block party, I would have a barbecue, you know, invite all the kids, and, you know, have a good time. But he went and checked on this lady and said, you know, is everything okay? I noticed that there wasn't trash in front of my door. Look at the goodness of his heart, the purity of his heart. You know, SubhanAllah, that's why that he was Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And I ask Allah Ta'ala to make us all good with people in this way, to make us really transform society.
Inshallah, I mean, and like you said, the Prophet ﷺ, there's so many examples in his life that we would never be able to cover it, I mean, even throughout the year if we did various shows on it. Idris, I want to come to you. What's an example that actually hit you?
For me, I think, like the brother said, there's so many, but to pick one is very difficult. But for me, I think standing out right now at this moment is the idea of how the Prophet ﷺ raised Zayd in his household. The treatment and the way he raised him was absolutely amazing. I mean, you don't find people who, rarely you do, but it's rare that you find people that could treat someone so close and comforting and equally that they would deny their own family to remain in that situation. I mean, how many people could really think that if you didn't know your father, you were taken from, you did know your father, you were taken from him, and then many years later on, your father comes and finds you and says, my son, let's come back, you know, I miss you, I love you. How many of us would say, I love you too, but I don't want to go with you?
Wow.
I mean, there must have been something truly spectacular, amazing, that would make someone reject going back to their father. I mean, if they didn't know their father, okay, that's different, but he knew his father.
Yeah.
He was pulled from his family. He knew who his father was. So for me, the treatment that he went through and the outcome was, to me, is this like an ultimate goodness. I mean, it's not something easy to do. Even on the flip side, it's not easy to, you know, treat someone who isn't your family the same as your family. Yeah, sure. We all talk the talk, but in reality, when somebody wants to come share your, you know, your cereal, you're like, yo, I don't have enough for you.
I brought this from the U.S. I don't know about that.
Next time, you know. So it's not that easy to do. We all give lip service, and everyone says they want to, you know, they want to do this, they want to be that. But the ones who actually do it are very few and far in between. So I think something for us to inspire to be is the type of people that we're selfless and give for others. You know, we're that me society. So I think it's a time where we try to learn to be selfless and try to think about other people besides yourself.
Yeah, of course. Let's come over here to Umar. Umar, what example from the Prophet's life, or from any of the companions' lives, would you say affected you the most?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that when the Prophet, may peace and blessings be upon him, the example of Brother Idris when he said the treatment of Zayd and so on, something popped in my mind.
Sure.
That anyone can be with good manner and treat people with all goodness, but in your home, it's easy for you to, you know, to oppress because everyone is under your control. You have the authority now. So I can go and beat my wife. Nobody is gonna know about it, right? I can hit my children, and nobody can tell me what are you doing, right? So, but when the Prophet, even after his death, when his wives, when they talk about his behavior, and he's like the Quran walking on two legs, that gives us like the impression of that we shouldn't just focus on appearing to people like being good. It's not about appearance, it's about attitude. And as, for instance, they give this example when somebody goes and proposes to a girl, how can she know that this guy is good? To see his treatment to women in his family, his mother, and his maybe sisters and so on. So There is no particular example, but there are lots of examples from the life of the Prophet with his wives and with also the servants and so on. One of the servants who didn't even, the Prophet didn't say to him, off, even once, in 10 years. So, it's something amazing.
And that's a pertinent point that the Prophet said that the best of you is those who are best to their families. Because it's easy to go outside, to go to the masjid, Assalamu alaikum, akhi, how are you, kif halak, all these nice pleasantries, right? But then you go home and you're like Bruce Lee with your wife, beating your kids up and things like this, right? Because you have to be with them all the time and it's so intimate. So it really should be opposite. You should be normal with people and have the best akhlaq in a house. But it's difficult. You see people, like you see many like big imams and shuyuk and things like this, but their children are jahil. They don't know anything. And you'll say, you're supposed to know your father's a sheikh. Well, my father doesn't teach me. He's not around to teach me. He's teaching everyone else but me. So it's like, it's quite opposite. That's why, Allah Ta'ala make it easy for us.
It just reminds me of, this whole subject reminds me of the story of when Umar ibn al-Khattab asked the man who was, I forget the actual trial was about, but a man asked for somebody, testify for me. And nobody was saying anything. Finally, one person said, I'll testify for him. So Umar ibn al-Khattab asked him, how do you know him? He says, I've seen him in the masjid. He prays, he seems like a nice guy. And Umar told him, you don't know him. He said, well, how do you know him? You know a person by I think it was three ways. One, if you travel with them, because traveling with people is when they're stressed. You'll see the worst come out and how this worst manifests itself. You'll know the real person. Another one is living with them. Like we said, because you can't hide it. You come home, it's going to show.
Yep.
And I forget the third one.
Deal with money with them.
Business.
Oh yes, dealing with money. If you do a business with them, you're going to know the truth. This has happened to, I've seen this happen to personal friends here in Egypt. They started a business together. They were best of friends. But by the time the business finished, they were the worst of enemies.
Yeah, me and Arkham had it. Difficulty.
So these type of things is when you start really knowing somebody. So if you can be good in these things, then you're really having on the right track.
Yeah, and at home, that's when a person shows his real face. I believe it was the Japanese who say that a person has three faces. One face that he shows to the public, another face that he shows to his close friends and family, and one face that nobody sees except for himself. And the truest face of that person is the one that he doesn't show to anybody but himself.
This is the one Allah sees.
Yes.
This is the one Allah knows your inner self. The one that, you try to fake yourself and, yes, I'm doing it for this, and really your intention is for this. This is the one you can't hide. The one that you will have to face when Allah calls you to account for is the real truthness.
All right, before we continue this episode any further, we're going to go for a short break, and as soon as we come back, we will continue speaking about some of the examples that can inspire us from the life of the Prophet ﷺ, so stay tuned. Welcome back to Let's Talk. Now, before we went for that short break, we were giving examples from the life of the Prophet ﷺ in which he did inspiring acts of good. And before we continue this conversation, I want to once again remind you that this show is live and you can call us. The number will be on the screen. You can also contact us via message on Facebook, www.facebook.com/letstalkofficial. And throw us a message and we will answer your questions, comments, and we will share your thoughts on Facebook Live, inshaAllah. Sharif, I'm going to start with you. You didn't get a chance to tell us one of the inspiring stories from the Prophet ﷺ's life that inspired you.
Yeah. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is considered to be the ideal example for the whole ummah. And this example was, in the first place, was followed by their companions themselves. And one story of one of the companions, the Caliph Umar ibn al-Khattab, when he was in charge and when he was the Caliph, one night he was passing by, he was walking in the street at night, and he heard, crying of some children coming from a house, a small house in Medina, and he wondered what was that crying, what for was it? when he knocked the door, he knew that it was a very poor family. There is no man there. She was a woman. She was a widow with her children, with her hungry children. When he asked her why were they crying like that, she said, "They are my children. They are hungry, and I have nothing to feed them." He asked why. He said that her husband was killed in war. He was killed in war, and she has nothing to feed them. He immediately he went to get a large piece of butter and a large bag of flour, and when he back, he made some dough, and he baked bread for them, and he helped them to feed them. And unfortunately, she was putting some stones in a pot of water on fire to pretend that she was cooking a meal. And as long as she pretended to cook a meal for the children, they stopped crying. When she stopped pretending that, they returned to crying again. So this was awful, because the children has nothing to eat. And when the caliph helped her for that and helped the children, it was a very, very good thing. And I believe that it is a very good, ideal example for us all to cooperate and help the needy and help the poor, not to be selfish and all the time try to do best for ourselves only. So we have to be helpful to others.
Yeah. And another interesting factor about that story is that Umar at that time, he was the leader of the empire.
Yeah.
Could you imagine the president of a country, or even something smaller? Could you imagine the president of an institution,
Yes.
going to the lowest ranks in that institution and helping them? Now, what we can do is, Brother Yusuf Kroma, inshallah, will share a poem with us. So go ahead, Yusuf.
Yes, I just was thought to remember I wrote a poem about doing good. It's called The Philanthropist.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's very short, but God bless the hand of the man that gives everything with the expectation of nothing in return. To earn one's weight in gold is to enrich the mind and soul of the self and society. Propriety of one's actions is a piety seldom sought. Seeing the self in society is a sight for sore eyes, sometimes for some, and sometimes one. This needs distance to see things clearer. Be the change you wish to see in the world, said Gandhi. Granted the grandiose nature of giving today, I'm sure that most people are so poor because all they have is money, and making money doesn't equate to making change. These days change seems only to be the priority of the poor, the downtrodden, the revolutionary, the uncompromisingly honest, the philanthropist, the candles lit in the wee hours of life, the lights that had the audacity to dance with darkness. Don't you know that compassion is a verb, that love knows no boundaries, that kindness is everlasting, that the smallest consistent action is often the most impacting? Don't you know that medicine heals wounds, but kindness heals worlds, that the character of the man is worth more than diamonds and pearls? My people, I say give, but give until it hurts. But all the riches in the world cannot enrich you beneath the earth.
MashaAllah, that was very nice. That was very nice. Thank you for sharing that with us here. Thank you very much. Now, guys, I wanted to ask you guys one more time if you guys have any more examples you'd like to add before we move on with this, inshallah. So, Idris, Yusuf?
I just have one that isn't
Sure.
very long. I just thought about, he talked about the companion Umar ibn Khattab, but it reminded me of Abu Bakr also, how he used to be before the first, and how one time the Rasulullah, during the time when he was in Medina, he used to always sometimes just talk to his companions and ask them certain questions. So he was with his companions and he just asked them generally just, who amongst you is fasting? And they're looking like, okay, we didn't know today was a good day to fast. There's something we didn't know, so no one answered. No one said anything. Finally, Abu Bakr said, I am. So then he asked them, who amongst you has, I think it was visited the sick? And everyone looked around like, okay, it's still in the morning. I didn't have time to do anything. Like, how could I visit the sick? It's still in the morning. This is after Fajr, and they're sitting in the masjid. Abu Bakr said, I did. Then they asked them, okay, who amongst you
Follow the funeral?
Yes, follow the funeral. That was the third one. Follow the funeral. And they're thinking, who could go to a funeral? We just had Fajr. There's no funeral this early already. It's just still in the morning. And then finally Abu Bakr said, I have. And after that he said, anyone who has these three traits in them will be in Jannah. So the good deeds that they used to do are, dumbfounding and amazing to the point where these are the ones we knew of. Imagine the things that we didn't know of, because this is the key to having ikhlas. The key to having ikhlas is doing things that only you and Allah know about. If you want to feel good, try it. Do something that only you and Allah, and you have no plans to reveal it. Take it to your grave with you. Do this, then you'll find some good feeling.
Okay, that's very good, and it's something that we should try, doing something that nobody knows except you and Allah. So do an act and don't tell anybody, don't show anybody, and just keep it a secret between you and that face. We said the third face, the one that nobody knows, just you and yourself. Yes, Sharif, you'd like to
yeah, I still have another story
of course
about Umar ibn Khattab. Also, when he was the ruler of the Muslim Ummah, once he slept under a tree to have some rest, and meanwhile there was a messenger from the Roman Empire at that time, a part of Syria or some other country was under the control of the Roman Empire, and when he reached there and asked where is the ruler of the Muslim Ummah and where is the Caliph, the people told him he's not there. When he looked at like that, where he did never expect that the Caliph himself was that man lying under the tree and with torn clothes, and he wondered if he is the right man. When he reached there, he talked to him, but before he talked to him, he talked to himself. He said, حكمت فأمنت حكمت فعدلت فأمنت فنمت. Oh Umar, you ruled, then you spread justice. After that, you felt peace of mind and peace of self. And after that, and in consequence of that, now you have no fear. You are safe inside. You fear no one because you have peace of mind. So doing good and being justice to others and being good to others make you have peace of mind and peace of heart. So it's a very good thing too.
And you know that when you've done your best and when you've done no wrong to anybody else, that you don't owe anybody anything. That's it. You've done everything you can, and anything you've harmed anybody in, you've asked him forgiveness, and you've tried your best not to harm anybody in anything. At that point, you're completely satisfied. Umar, would you like to share anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify a point. I heard it from one of the scholars.
Sure.
It was magnificent what Brother Idris was saying about the story of Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him. But sometimes people, they get the message in the wrong way, like, okay, how can we do all of this? We get overwhelmed. I can do all of these things. But the point here is that even most of the companions didn't reach this level. They didn't reach the level of maybe getting, spending all your cash for the sake of Allah. This is an example of Abu Bakr because he is, he weighs the whole nation. That's right. So why I'm saying this, because some people, they feel, okay, they are on a very high level, and of course they are, the companions, but okay, I can't do this. But we have to emphasize that in Jannah, in paradise, or in the heaven, we have different doors for different acts. We have, like for instance, Ar-Rayyan, it's a door for fasting. Okay, there is a door for charity, and so on and so forth. Why? Because we are different. Maybe Brother Idris is very strong in one area. Some people, they have more than one, but maybe most often no. We have something that's very strong in that I can fast. Somebody can make Qiyam al-Layl, he can pray at night. Somebody else can pay charity. It doesn't have a problem in this. Right? Some other people, they have a problem like to speak about their deeds in front of people. So I feel like something in my heart, I can't. Why? So fame for me is not suitable. I can't get to it. Some people, they don't have a problem with this. They can appear, in front of TV, and they don't have a problem with it. So this is my clarification.
That reminds me of something Imam Malik once said, and it was something along the lines of, somebody asked him that, why don't you pray extra nawafil prayer all the time and stuff? You're a big sheikh, you're very, very knowledgeable. How come I don't see you praying these nawafil prayers? And he said, Allah puts the love of different acts of ibadah in different slaves.
Yes.
And He's put the love of praying nawafil in your heart, and He's put the love of seeking knowledge and teaching in mine. And we're different, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts different ways of worshipping Him, something that you're trying. So one person might find reciting Quran for 5 hours very pleasing. Another person, the same 5 hours, he can pray two rakahs nawafil prayers, but he can't recite for 5 hours. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts the love of different acts of worship in different worshippers.
That's the beauty of playing to your strengths. This is why Allah made this difference. Everyone's different. Play to your strengths. This is some of the advice that the Sheikh used to tell me, is that don't try to be something you're not, because you will find discomfort in it. You will find something where you will find your niche, and follow it. When you find it, follow it, embrace it. But trying to be something that you're not, it's very difficult.
Maybe that's why the Prophet, he used to deal with the companions like he went to a certain companion, go and learn Hebrew. Why? Because he knows this companion is very good in linguistics. He knows him.
The Prophet always played to the companion's strengths. Like when they were building the masjid, the one that was building the bricks wanted to stop and do something else. He told them, no, you continue to make bricks. Because he wanted to stop and start helping building the physical things. He told them, no, you stop and you keep building bricks. Why? Because that's what he's good at. That was his profession.
Yes.
Build to your strengths. Doesn't mean that you can't do other things, but you should play to your strengths to your advantage. Make this beloved to you so that Allah can love you for it.
Like Abu Zar, one of the companions, he was one of the best companions, of course. And when he asked the Prophet that I want to be like a governor or something equal to this, he said to him unequivocally, you are weak. In this area, you are weak. And he's strong in so many other areas, in one area or two. And this is one of the honesty, that we have to learn, that to say to our friends, okay, if I see weakness, this person is not going to really succeed in this. He has so many other good points that he can really tackle and deal with. It's going to be a sort of like I'm deceiving him. If I say encourage him in something that it's not his thing or her thing.
That's why we give all the science questions to Omar. We're weak in science. Anybody else want to share any examples? Yusuf, Idris, Omar, Sharif? Any more examples? Okay, so we'll move on to the next thing, which is practical advice for the users. We have a couple of minutes left, inshallah, to the end of the show, and we can speak about how a person can start doing good. What's the initiatives he should take in order for him to start these acts, these good deeds, to change his life around? A person who's not been doing good to others, what can he start doing? As a step one, obviously you can't just jump straight into it and that's it, tomorrow you're the best person ever. It doesn't work like that. You build to it. So what are steps he can take? Yusuf, if you want to start us off.
Yeah, firstly, it's by observing your environment. To look into the place you are, whether it's your place of school or your place of work or place of business. And this especially, is really good in business. If there's problems, what are the sort of issues that we're having? How can I be a problem solver? Because as Muslim, we're supposed to be solutionaries. So we solve world problems. We've been doing it for ages, for civilizations. So if there's an issue,
we were doing it, right?
And we still are doing it, Arkham. We've been working on it, brother.
We can have a debate.
Dr. Omar over here developing some serums in his basement, mashallah. So you find the issues that's in your society, in your particular place, and then you begin to solve them. You create think tanks. Okay, this is the issue, especially social ills. How can we go about solving these issues? How can we make society better? Not for any reason, not for any monetary reason, not for notoriety, just because this is our purpose here. As Allah Ta'ala said in Surah Al-Asr, all of mankind is Al-Asr, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. All of mankind is at loss except those who believe and do righteous activity. All right, so if we don't do righteous actions, if we don't engage ourselves in righteous actions, all of mankind is at loss. So we have to continue to busy ourselves with doing righteousness, or else society is going to fall, because we have to hold it up. There needs to be righteous people doing righteous activity all around the world, because the devil is always busy. The devil, he never stops working. He never punches out. He never takes vacation. He's always busy. So as Muslims, we can't relax. We can't take it easy. We have to. Well, we can't take it sometimes, right? But we have to continue to do righteous activity, inshallah ta'ala.
He was getting all fury into it.
Right,
We can't take it easy.
I was getting
Maybe sometimes, but except for on Saturdays. Or Fridays for us. as
After
Muslims.
Jumu'ah.
Idris, I want to come to you. What do you think are some steps a person can take?
For me, I would keep it. I don't care what your step is.
Yeah.
You need to work on your intentions.
Hmm.
Al-amr bin-niyat. This is the first step to change your mindset, because you're going to find difficulties in no matter what you do. You know, you're going to have things against you. You're going to have difficulties. You need to fix your mindset and the way, especially in your environment, because the way you look at things, something bad can happen to you, and you can see the benefit in it, or you can see it as the end of the world, and I'm sick of it. So if your actions are correct and your mindset is correct, I'm doing this for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything else will come easy. When you have problems, when you're seeing things that are not going your way, if your intentions are correct, you'll be okay.
All right. I was going to come to this side, but unfortunately we're out of time. So I want to thank you guys for joining us here on Let's Talk. It was a wonderful conversation. Dear viewers, I hope you guys enjoyed today's conversation. Remember, let's try our best to do good in any way we can so that we feel good, and not only do we feel good, that we please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that our end goal obviously so that we can enter Jannah inshaAllah bi-idhnillah. And until next time, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.